A beautiful day in the neighbourhood, Serpico, A Woman Under the Influence, It's Red Pill, Blue Pill, The Movie Quiz, our top 5 Sidney Lumet films, and much, much more. This is The Movie Show.
Here, looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. Why so serious?
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of The Movie Show. I'm Greg Fisher and I am joined as always by my trusted friend and colleague Dave Roberts. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How are you doing on this fine afternoon?
Not too bad at all, sir. We're at episode 10 already, can you believe it?
Can you believe it? Here at the end, the
10
finale.
episodes. 10 episodes deep. Who would have thought we'd made it?
I know, it's a long time coming, but it's going to be an exciting, jam-packed show.
Let's get tucked into it, my friend.
We kick things off as usual with What Have You Been Watching, where we talk and discuss some of the films we've been checking out over the last week. So, Greg, what have you been watching?
Watched a couple of things this week. Some exciting stuff, some not so exciting stuff. I watched one film on Netflix which was called Mosul, 2019. This is about a team of Iraqi police guys in the city of Mosul. They're like a SWAT team, and they're sort of on a mission to infiltrate a part of the city that's still under control by Daesh or ISIS or whatever you want to call them. It's all in Iraqi. They're all Iraqi actors. It's told from their point of view, so it was quite refreshing in that way. It was kind of like a little bit of the vibe of something like Black Hawk Down. So it's kind of like a war action thing, but obviously unique in the sense that it shows things from the point of view of the people that actually live in that country and are dealing with the aftermath of the war, all those years ago. So, it was okay. It was all right. I mean, it could have done with just staying as, faithful to the action genre, really, because it tried to get a little bit too emotional and serious at the end, and I don't really feel like that suited the rest of the film. Didn't really go with it, so the ending was a little bit strange compared to the rest of the film, but it was okay. It was interesting to see it from other people's perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating to see that they've gone with Iraqi actors playing the Iraqi roles. I think that's very different. I've not seen that done as of yet. Yeah,
well, it shows things that, that people in Iraq are dealing with, that kind of extremism as well in terms of, ISIS and things. So, it was okay. Not my sort of film, really, but, I watched it. I watched it with a friend and it was okay. Another film I watched was a great documentary called The Sea Gypsies, Far Side of the World, which is about a bunch of people that are sailing down in the South Atlantic, and they sort of hop to Antarctica and then go across to the western southern tip of South America. And it's just about them traveling across the ocean, being freewheeling, footloose and fancy-free sea gypsies, just like it says on the tin. But that was a very interesting watch. That was from 2017, I think. It was a good film. I'd recommend that one to anyone who enjoys a good documentary, good independent. And the other film I was going to mention was I watched Woman Under the Influence, John Cassavetes' film, 1974. It stars his wife Jenna Rowlands and his best friend Peter Falk. And I got to say, I'd never seen it until now. After all these years, I knew about this film. I've seen a few of Cassavetes' things, and I really respect and admire him as a director. And I absolutely love Jenna Rowlands. And I watched Woman Under the Influence, and it's just one of the greatest films I've ever seen. It was absolutely fantastic, emotional realism. Cassavetes at his finest, Jenna Rowlands at her finest. Peter Falk also playing against type. He plays a bit of a angry working class husband that's not a very sympathetic character. So I listened to something afterwards where he'd asked John Cassavetes for the role, and John Cassavetes said, "No, you can't play this. You're the most popular guy on television. Everybody loves Columbo. No one's going to believe you as this guy." And he fought for the role and he got it, and he's very good in it. But it was an incredibly powerful drama. and Jenna Rollins was incredible in it. I can't wait to watch it again. It was such a good film.
Yeah, I really want to check it out because you mentioned you'd watched it, and yeah, I'm quite interested to watch it now because it's one of them films that always appears on these lists of you should watch this. It's really good, and it never got around to watching it. And
what have you been watching, kid?
I've had a bit of a week of watching Sidney Lumet films, and I've recently been getting into Al Pacino quite a bit as well, kind of exploring stuff I haven't watched of theirs. So the first film I checked out was Dog Day Afternoon, of course from the 70s. Al Pacino playing
Attica!
Amazing film, really interesting, based on a true story of this bank robbery, which doesn't exactly go to plan.
Do they ever?
Do they ever? No, exactly. It's never going to work out in the end. But just fascinating because obviously it's a very much more of it's a character study of all the people inside the bank who kind of join on side of him, and of course it's during that period where the public are not fans of the police. So there's a whole thing.
Nothing changes,
but that's a kind of counter-revolution moment, and all the people are clearly behind the bank robbers, and the reporters want to hear what they're thinking and stuff. It's this whole kind of changing moment, and really interestingly shot film. They threw some money at it. The amount of helicopters and police and cars and everything they'd got around, I was like, yeah. And Pacino's performance is incredible, and
John Cazale as well in there,
and Don Cazale, and the two of them just really playing off each other. And as if for people who haven't seen it, I don't really want to spoil some of the bits in it because, to me, there's about 40 minutes in, the film flips on its head again, and you kind of things are revealed, and it does very well at kind of unpeeling layers of the story as you go through it, which I thought exquisite storytelling, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I seen it when I was a teenager, not really knowing what I was in for. Instantly fell in love with Al Pacino. Instantly fell in love with Sidney Lumet, and it just really made an impression on me. One of the greatest films of that era and ever made, I think. And that's the kind of cinema that's seriously missing today. Things like that, and Woman Under the Influence. We should be seeing more of that kind of stuff, I think.
I also checked out Serpico, which of course is another Pacino
classic.
And Sidney Lumet
another true story as well.
Another true story. I mean, the biggest thing I got out of the film was thinking the costume department were very busy. Because the amount of costume changes Pacino goes through, it's pretty crazy. And I was reading an interesting fact afterwards that they shot the film in reverse. All right, because Pacino has that huge beard back,
and they shaved it off, and he could be the young copper.
So that was quite fascinating. But I mean, it's a very ambitious film. I mean, they shot in about 105 locations in New York. It's big, it's sprawling, and the story is sprawling. Of course, it's all these different precincts that are all corrupt that he's joining and stuff. And it's something that we obviously it's still prevalent today, in my opinion. It's all there.
There is a fantastic documentary called Precinct 75, which is about basically police corruption in New York City. And just as a quick one, as an aside, that is one to check out as well. It's one of the greatest documentaries I've ever seen about these dirty cops and everything that they got away with, because it's told from their perspective. But it very much reminded me of Serpico when I watched that years later. I thought, these are the guys that Serpico was railing against, really, because they worse than the criminals in a way, because they have the trust of the public and they're supposed to be, protecting and serving, and really what they're doing is, selling drugs and getting a load of cash for it. And, a bit like in Usual Suspects, New York's finest taxi service.
What I did find interesting though was watching, it's the same era and it's the same director and it's the same actor.
Yeah.
But what was interesting really is the approach is completely different. They weren't really different budgets as far as I can tell. but the approach to Dog Day Afternoon is very handheld, almost. There's a bit of a shake to it. There's a bit of grittiness to it.
Yeah.
They're trying to capture it almost like
you're there,
like a television report. You're quite close quarters.
Realism.
A lot of close shots, stuff's moving around. It's not pinky. You look at something like Serpico, and it's very dressed. You can see the colours being picked, the greens and the reds, to kind of influence the greed and psychology of everything that's going on. There's a lot more swooping shots. They've deliberately chosen these costumes. It's a lot more kind of Hitchcockian in its production value. And I thought it's really interesting from the same director, just mere years apart.
This is the genius of Sidney Lumet. Every film you watch of his has got something unique to it and a different style. And I think because of his great history of directing off-Broadway stuff and theatre, and coming out of that into television, and then making a successful transition from television to films, he was just such a master, and a real master of the craft. One of the greatest American film directors, I think. And we'll have more about him later on, guys. But that's what we've been watching this week.
So now we come to movie of the week, and this week it's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. The 2019 film came out at the end of last year. It's a biopic starring Tom Hanks as Mr. Fred Rogers, of course, and Matthew Rhys as Lloyd Vogel. It was the story of a troubled journalist assigned to do a profile on the now legendary television personality Mr. Rogers. And Tom Hanks was nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars for this performance. And so we checked it out this week. So Greg, what did you think?
Yeah, very good film. Interesting stuff. Mr. Rogers obviously is a very American thing. We weren't really that familiar with his work over here, because instead we had a bunch of dodgy television personalities, shall we say, to grow up with instead. So we got the short straw there. We could have done with a bit of wholesome Mr. Rogers over here, I think. I knew a little bit about him before I'd seen the film, as in the real character himself, having seen a bit of stuff online about Mr. Rogers from something else I was previously researching a couple of years ago. So I kind of knew, what he was about and what the format of the show and what it was like. There's also a very good documentary about him that is more of in a sense, more of a biopic, because it's all encompassing and talks about his whole life. Whereas this film we're talking about here, as you said, really it focuses on that, the character of Lloyd, and his relationship at that time, not only with Mr. Rogers, who he's interviewing for the Esquire magazine piece, but with his own family, who he's obviously having trouble with his dad and stuff. So it was a really interesting way to do it, I thought. Matthew Rhys, he's great. He's from Cardiff. He's a Cardiff fella, so it's good to see a Welsh actor there in a starring role like that. He's a very cynical character, so it's not surprising that they chose a Brit to play such a cynical character. Probably a good choice there, because this is the thing, Mr. Rogers is so wholesome and so positive in many ways that, they couldn't have picked either a worse or a better, depending on how you see it, person to send to interview him, because this guy had a history of writing, very cynical pieces about people, that were almost, detracting from certain celebrities' luster and star power in the past. So he can't understand himself, can he? That's why he's been sent to do a puff piece, as he calls it, on Mr. Rogers. But, the guy ends up really giving him some therapy. That's the way I read it.
Yeah. It's interesting because this film shouldn't work, in my opinion. Right. It's almost so sickly and sweet that this should be the kind of film I go, well, for God's sake, you know what I mean? It's one of them.
Yeah.
But I think for some reason there's a charm there, And maybe the balance of that cynicism, on the other hand, just about lets it walk that line that it works.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing about it is Tom Hanks' performance, in my opinion, which is just looking at footage of
the
Mr.
real
Rogers
guy,
and looking at Tom Hanks, you're like, I mean, who else could play him? I don't think there's anyone else who could play that role apart from Tom Hanks. It's like he was born to play it.
I thought he was good in it. I mean, Tom Hanks is such a institution himself, in a sense, that they've chose someone like that on purpose to play an American institution. For me, I couldn't get Forrest Gump out of my head. In some points, there was a little bit of "I'm not a smart man, Jenny, but I do know what love is." There was a little bit of that in there that I thought, well, okay, yeah, it's Tom Hanks, but he did do a good job of portraying him. I thought it was interesting that it was told from that Matthew Rhys's character's point of view, that he views Mr. Rogers with a certain measure of cynicism, and he's so cynical about the world. He's looking at him as if to say, when he's got the puppets and he's doing the puppets and he's watching him do that in the studio, and it's as if he's saying, who the hell is this guy? Is he for real? Or is he some crazy, that's just obsessed with his own crazy little TV show?
Yeah, I think I kind of felt with that, because my first reaction on seeing him and seeing Tom Hanks playing him was, this guy's quite creepy. I found it quite weird. There was something discerning about it. But then the more you kind of sit with it, the more you kind of go, oh, he is just a charming, harmless man. But there is that kind of, the instant reaction was like, I don't know about this.
I think it's because he's such a pure character and a pure-hearted person that really did have very good intentions and wanted to help people. That in the modern world we live in, where so much goes on and so many nasty and horrible things happen, we're automatically got this filter of being suspicious about people that have genuinely good intentions. I mean, I said it myself at the start. We've grown up with a bunch of nefarious characters that ended up being, terrible, terrible people, that you'd look at now and say they were monsters. So it's no wonder in a way that, someone like Fred Rogers, who was one of the good ones, is unfortunately viewed with a certain amount of suspicion by the rest of us. So, but that was the nice part about it, that we see it from that point of view, and he genuinely helps the guy out. I mean, he heals the relationship between him and his father, which is completely broken. And this was the main substance of the film, and for that reason, I thought it was very enjoyable. I mean, my favorite scene is when they're on the subway train together and everybody starts to sing, "Oh, won't you be mine? Oh, won't you be mine?" And I was expecting Charles Bronson to come from behind a newspaper and start blasting people,
Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Please won't you be my neighbor?
Death Wish style, but no, that was a really nice scene that I thought, when it was like the whole generations of people had been affected by him, and they all just sang to him on that subway train. And it's almost like then Lloyd looked at him as if to say, no, this guy he's got something. He's getting through to people.
Yeah, it is. It's sweet, and it's got all those kind of elements. It's a really simple story in one way. But that's what works about it. It's the performances and what they're talking about. And it is kind of a very wholesome and nice little journey to go on. And it's just fascinating for that.
So anyway, there we go. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Worth a watch, I'd say.
Absolutely. Really great film.
Now it's time to go over to Don Corleone for another film review.
Greetings to you and your family. This is Don Corleone. So you come to me on the day my daughter is to be married, and You asked me for a film review. How can I refuse? This week's film is called The Scorpion King, Book of Souls. It's the 5th installment in the saga, and it has more Dutch angles than a windmill in a field full of tulips, owned by a cheese farmer wearing clogs. This guy, Nebasaric, is in charge of a troupe of cosplaying clowns who are trying to get hold of some cheap hardware. What they need is a blacksmith, one that can forge weapons that they want at the right price. So they go looking for a blacksmith in a small and peaceful village, but they get more trouble than they bargained for when this guy won't budge on the price. The central themes of vengeance and righteous retribution are invoked when the cosplayers kill the blacksmith's assistant. Oh, this is a big mistake. Now he's gonna have to make these lunatics suffer for their miscreant behavior. He's a fine actor. The cosplayers hightail it out of there, taking all the blacksmith's hardware with them. There's some excellent equine exposition in this movie. Some of the horses are more established performers than any of the actors. So the blacksmith mounts a surprise attack on the cosplayers. And this time he brought backup. The action is very well choreographed. And the more I see of this film, the more I like it. She's one mean mother figure. I'm sure you agree. Check this guy out. He looks like a burnt hamburger, but he hits like a Major League All-Star. There's some Olympic standard javelin throwing and a few more home runs. Even the poor horse gets slammed on the nose by the giant burger. So the blacksmith and his friends cross the sea looking for the rest of Nebasaric's gang. They find them having some kind of frat house bonfire at Bohemian Grove. These morons wouldn't know how to have a good time at a Jewish wedding. The blacksmith gets zapped out on some performance-enhancing scorpions, and he decides to show these troglodytes how to really party. Suffice to say, Nebasaric isn't too pleased to see him, so the two of them decide to have some sort of freaky dance-off. Somebody also forgot to invite the burnt hamburger along, so he gate crashes his way in and starts to go to town on some of the locals. So the blacksmith and Nebasaric are linked together. The chain becomes a physical manifestation of the struggle that they share, and each link represents a life that the cosplayers have ruined. The blacksmith uses his chains to wrap around this guy's neck and hurl him into a burning inferno. A noble death. I give this movie 1, 2, 3, 4 Corleones out of a possible 5. Recommended. Don't forget to check out my other movie reviews on the More Movies YouTube channel. Until next time.
Thanks for that again, Don. Well, you certainly racked up some interesting reviews this series.
There you go. And as he said himself, you can go and check out all his reviews on our YouTube channel, which you are on at the moment, hopefully watching this. So go and check out that playlist.
Okay, so here we come to movie news, where we talk about some of the things happening in the film industry over the last week or so. So, Greg, what's been happening?
Well, as you know, we record this on a Sunday, and we've just found out, newsflash today, that David Prowse has sadly passed away. The actor who originally filled the Darth Vader suit. He's 85 years old. We know him in Britain also as the Green Cross Code Man from the 1970s campaign, and also I think he was in quite a lot of stuff, playing like that sort of big monster kind of guy. Maybe some of the Hammer horrors. I think he had a small role in Clockwork Orange, stuff like that. But that's quite sad. I always felt sorry for David Prowse because he got royally shafted by Lucasfilm. He didn't even get to be him under the mask when they revealed Darth Vader at the end. And there's an actual documentary out there somewhere that shows his grievances with it, and they treated him quite badly because he was seen to have been talking out of school, as they say, and therefore he was basically ostracized from the Lucasfilm family. And I always thought that was really shady of him and was quite sad, really.
But, he'll always go down in film history and legend as the man playing the greatest villain. Maybe not voicing him, but, he was in the suit of the greatest villain on
apparently
on screen, really. So
Harrison Ford used to call him Darth Farmer when they were filming the original film because
of his voice.
He's still done the lines, but he'd be like, "You're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away."
Yeah, there is clips in the documentary with the voice. You can hear it, and it is hilarious. Really.
I mean, good choice to swap out for James Earl Jones because that's just that's one of the greatest voices you'll ever hear. But sad that he's gone. I mean, he was a massive guy, huge, big bodybuilder, probably way over 6 foot. I think he was like 6'6" or something like that, and.
Yeah,
in his day, a very healthy and fit man, and obviously, I think towards his later years, he kind of suffered for his size in a way, like a lot of huge people do. He had a lot of medical problems, but 85, it's a grand old age.
It is. It did make me think, though, as I read it, kind of, there's not that many of the original cast left.
I suppose not. Harry Fisher's sadly gone. There's Harrison and Mark Hamill, of course.
Harrison and Mark Hamill and Anthony Daniels. It's about it, really.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. I mean, Wedge is still alive, obviously.
Wedge, yeah.
Some of the side characters, but yeah.
But it is, over. Well, we're 43
years ago now, so
it's a long time.
It is.
So.
Yeah, that's sad. Other news, there's the Frank Zappa movie has been released. Very exciting documentary. I can't wait to see that. So
love a good documentary.
I do love a good documentary, and I do love Frank Zappa a hell of a lot. I thought he was just one of the most original and greatest rock and roll artists of the 20th century, but also a great political and social commentator. I've watched hours worth of interviews that he did on TV throughout the 80s, and he's always got something witty, hilarious, and poignant to say. And another one that went too young, really. I think he smoked so many cigarettes they ended up smoking him, and he died of cancer. That's not funny.
I thought it was.
Don't smoke, kids. Anyway, yeah, that's coming out, so that's good. But talking about stuff that's not funny, but kind of is, but kind of isn't, but kind of is. Did you see that John Voight thing?
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, what the is going on with John Voight? What the This guy used to be such a great actor. I mean, he was in things like Midnight Cowboy, Deliverance. In later years, he was in... he played good roles in things like Enemy of the State and Anaconda, if you've ever seen that. It's a bit crazy.
It's a crazy film.
He seems to have come out now as this really staunch right-wing, almost like, quasi neo-fascist. I can't believe some of the he's coming out with on these videos. I mean, he's going, my fellow Americans. And it's like, who do you think you are, Ronald Reagan? You're not the president. Yeah.
Well, I saw the video with the flag behind him, and I thought, what the fuck is this about?
So did I. I thought, my fellow Americans, we have got to defeat these satanic leftists that have stolen the election. And it's like, what the Who's this guy?
Do you think he's upset that he never played like a president or something in films? And so
I don't know what it is. I mean,
this is my chance.
I can't understand it. We did a post on our Twitter in the week. It was just a bit of a laugh, really, but we said The Deplorables, starring Mel Gibson, James Woods, Randy Quaid, who was another absolutely crazy, and John Voight. And, we just put it out there, see what people would say about them. We said something like, they're all on a suicide mission and you can only save one of them. Who's it going to be and why? But, it was really interesting to read some of the comments that people made about some of these actors. But I can't understand it. I just don't get it. I mean, where's it come from? It's just a crazy point of view. I mean, he's inciting violence in a way. He's like saying, we won the Civil War. And it's like, actually, with these kind of views, buddy, your lot lost the Civil War, Yeah. It's
very south, isn't it?
It's going on.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And he just comes across like the racist old granddad at the old people's home. Like, shut the hell up.
The one
know.
at Christmas that you're like, oh no,
leave Uncle Fred in the corner. Yeah, you know, like,
or maybe bring Uncle Fred Rogers out of the corner and let him go to work on John Voight. You seem to have some pain inside your heart, and that's okay.
Won't you be my neighbour? I mean, I suppose the thing is, I guess 10, 20 years ago, the racist old uncles and granddads and stuff were hidden away, and the family were embarrassed and they were never let out. Kind of. Oh, bloody hell, it's him again. Now they've got Twitter and they can jump on Twitter with a crazy video spouting all this.
There's a good point to be made there that people like the people in the Trump administration have empowered. And it's not just them over there. It's happened over here in Britain. It's happening in Europe with these populist figures, that it empowers people with these spurious views to think it's okay to say whatever they like about, and put their own spin on it. And when it gets to the extreme, you get someone like John Voight, who's got a bit of money, so he can propel himself out there as if he is Ronald Reagan and my fellow Americans. And it's worrying. You just think, God, I look at him and I think, deluded.
Like these old people from 30, 40 years ago in terms of show business that are now...
Yeah, but someone like Robert De Niro, he's roughly the same age as John Voight, and he was attacked by the right because he came out and said, if you remember a few years ago, he said, I'd like to punch Donald Trump in the face. But he only said that because Donald Trump was talking about punching people in the face. It was like a rebuttal to him, really. But, you get all these people then saying, I can't stand De Niro, I'm not going to watch his movies anymore. And I mean, this is the interesting point to make, with someone like John Voight or Mel Gibson and stuff, they are talented actors and filmmakers. James Woods as well, very, very talented actor. But as people, they are so odious to someone like me anyway, that it becomes hard then to accept anything, that they're producing artistically. If John Voight brought out a film next week and it was, it looked like a really good film and everybody was excited for it, I'd still be thinking, oh my God, not this guy.
It's that interesting kind of argument about, I always think to try and separate a lot of the time the person from the art, and it's hard to do sometimes because the person is the art and the art is the person. But I think sometimes you kind of have to go, well, I may not like the person, but
I love the movie.
Really love the movie, yeah. So
I can't do that, man. I can't do that. There's a certain line over which you do not cross. And for me, John Voight has well and truly crossed it. The problem for me is whether I can then go back and films like Midnight Cowboy or Deliverance, which I really love those films. I've watched them many times over the years, loved his performance in them and thought the world of him, thought he was a wonderful actor. I suppose I can still watch those movies and think, well, he wasn't the crazy old nutter then. These people as people are just, quite staunch right-wing conservatives that, in John Voight's case, is just spewing bile and hatred. And it's sad to see, man.
It's that like, as you say, it's kind of that extreme right, and that's where it comes into it, because like it's not like just like it was 20 years ago or so, where it's like the Republican may not agree, but it's whatever. Now it's like Trump levels of
insanity,
narcissistic insanity, and you're just like, oh my god,
and just denying the truth and making up their own truth. And like you said, they've got Twitter, so it becomes a competition of who can get the message out first, and that's what they perceive is going to be accepted as the truth. But everybody who's still a sensible, clear thinking person is looking at it going, what the fuck?
And that's why they're the deplorables,
Exactly.
Let's get ready to film fight!
Okay, put up your dukes, Dave. It's time for the film fight. This week I thought we'd have a little bit of fun talking about realism versus, how should we put it, abstraction or surrealism in a way. You are a very realist type of guy. you like a lot of realism in your stuff. And there's many a times where I've suggested certain type of movie to you, and you just said, no way I'm watching something crazy like that, because it's maybe a little bit too surreal or crazy. So I thought you could take the red corner in this one and argue for realism, and I'll argue for abstraction. What do you think?
Let's go for it.
Okay, at the sound of the bell, you have 1 minute.
So, yeah, I mean, I much prefer realistic interpretations of storytelling and of production in film to that is abstract and surreal. And this is really a thing of taste, and it's very hard to kind of discern there's a particular reason why something is better than the other. This is an opinion of taste more than anything else. But, you know, I think I have the same opinion in this with art, painting, music, film. Like I lean much towards more realistic stuff and less surreal. But I feel that when you're trying to tell a story or evoke an emotion in art, you need to convince somebody of something, and you need them to suspend their disbelief. But I think to get to that point, you need something that grounds it so that you can kind of latch onto it. I would believe this because I could see it, you know. And I think that's why, as an example, you would take something like Batman, and the reason I prefer Nolan's Batman trilogy to, say, Tim Burton's Batman films is that sense of it is grounded in a more realistic world. I could believe that world existed, and so I believe that film more and I enjoy it a lot more, whereas the Burton films are far more exaggerated in their perception, and obviously big architecture and kind of slanted corners and stuff, which, I mean, it's a good film and enjoyable. That's, you know, it's not to say it's a bad film, but of which I would prefer to watch. I'd rather sit on that, you know.
And there's the bell.
And I think that's the bell.
There we go. Very good. Yeah, you made your point. You squeezed Batman into it again, which is, you know. Yeah, that's you, Dave. Okay, so we will respond with a minute on the clock at the sound of the bell. Round two. Okay, well, a case for surrealism or abstract kind of cinema, as we're talking about, I'd say that I hear what you're saying about having stuff grounded so that it's more relatable. But my argument is that everything we see has got a certain format. It's got that story format, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And everything in a sense is kind of predictable and laid out for us as we expect it to be. So when you get stuff that's more surreal and abstract and it turns things on its head, or, you know, it starts at the end and works its way to the beginning and just plays with the rules, what this the effect that this has is that it makes us work harder at something, because there aren't so many things that we can latch onto that we're used to, and we have to, in a sense, use our minds more to create a feeling or an emotion or an understanding of what's going on via our own internal, sometimes subconscious experiences. I've always been turned on by films that are so different from the norm in that sense. And that can sometimes just be a single image when you look at something and you go, oh my God, what's that? I've got to see that. And, you know, sometimes it's extremes as well. It can be taken to the extreme where it's so far out and so far gone that, you know, it's impossible to understand. But this, like you said, it's the same with art, literature, all of these things. That I find the things that make you work harder and force you to produce your own conclusions usually come from some sort of abstraction rather than being spoon-fed propaganda, in a sense. You know, I mean, it's all propaganda in that one way, but, you know, there goes the bell. So yeah, so there we go. I mean, open round now. You know, I can see what you're saying. Sometimes you need a format to follow, and the reason why so many things do have that structure is because most people just want to be, you know, led down the garden path, so to speak. They want to be told where to look and how to feel, and this is right and this is wrong, and, you know, whereas stuff that's abstract, it doesn't give any clear answers. and it makes you think, what's that about? And it often produces more interesting conversations, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more about, like, you could take something like Star Wars, and you take something like a spaceship, and you kind of go, well, and when we have rockets, and it's almost applicable to something like the Navy or something. A lot of the old Star Wars is based on like World War II and stuff like that. So there's things that kind of relate it to kind of, I could see that, that's an army and stuff like that, even though they're taking it to the nth degree, but it's set in the future. There's a believable element to it where, I think there's films out there where it's just like totally surreal, exaggerated, like, some of the like extreme, especially think of like some of the 1920s expressionist cinema, some of like the Russian cinema and stuff, where they really exaggerated over the top kind of motion and set design and stuff like that. I'm not the biggest fan of, because it starts getting into quite strange circumstances.
Well, this is the thing, though. It's like almost like a fear of the unknown in that sense, because people want to see what they can recognize and they can latch onto, and they say, yes, that's a building, that's a window. But then when they watch Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and they've got these kind of in a way theatrical sets where everything's at weird obscure angles and over exaggerated, but for me that evokes more emotion, because the exaggeration of certain things, it leads your mind to a different place. Instead of just accepting stuff and saying, yeah, that's a window, instead you're thinking that window is almost the shape of Africa, and it just, it leads your mind in a more dreamlike, oniric way, where you just you do more work yourself, and that's what I think these filmmakers are trying to do. I mean, it's not as popular. Obviously, it's not as popular form of cinema to have surrealism and things like that. But I find it personally much more interesting when you got someone like a modern filmmaker like Charlie Kaufman, who it doesn't always hit the target, but it's doing such interesting things anyway. I think it's producing more interesting conversation, because then people are saying, "What's that? What was that about? How come that suddenly happened? Why was that there?" And it's just more interesting. I just think, this is going to lead us to places that we would never have gone if we'd only ever watched Batman or Star Wars.
But I think it's like I like things like non-linear storytelling. And stuff like that. It's almost like the visual representation that I have the issue with. There's other places it can go which work for me, but when it looks, I guess it's just a visual style that I'm not sold on at all, really. Which sounds mad, maybe, because of course there is science fiction and stuff that I like and stuff like that, which people would pertain to say that's not realistic in many ways, but it depends on what you're looking at, I guess.
Yeah, I think science fiction can be portrayed realistically, and it can probably be portrayed very surrealistically, and to some, we could probably find some examples where that just hasn't worked well at all, But if you think of something like Barbarella with Jane Fonda, that's quite abstract, that's quite surreal, and they call it a cult film because obviously, it's not to everyone's taste. I think what it is, though, and this isn't a personal attack in any way, but I think a lot of people just they fear the unknown, and therefore, if they're looking at something, grounded in realism, like something like you mentioned earlier, like Dog Day Afternoon, there's a very realistic portrayal of, a bank robbery gone wrong and this crazy crisis going on there. But then on the other hand as well, you got Jodorowsky's The Holy Mountain, where all sorts of crazy visuals, bright colors, things that you're going to see on screen that you would just don't expect to see and you would never see anywhere else. So therein is the appeal for me that, as good as Dog Day Afternoon is, and I'd be the first to hold my hand up and say I think it's one of the most wonderful films ever made. If you gave me the choice and said, well, you can only ever watch now Dog Day Afternoon or The Holy Mountain, I'd probably go with The Holy Mountain just because there's so much in there. There's packed so many ideas, or at least so many thematic things that could produce ideas that, I find that more interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's hard because there's some stuff, I could go like something like Alice in Wonderland is my favorite book, and that's extremely surreal. From a literature standpoint. So there's all kinds of exceptions and differences and nuances because taste is peculiar.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like if I was to make a blanket kind of thingy, it would, but there's always exceptions to things where I go, well, but that's really good, So yeah, it's hard. It's something like Pan's Labyrinth or something, which I think is a tremendous film.
Yeah. Excellent.
And that's an excellent film. Really surreal, but I can get into that. But I maybe get into that via the fact it's mythology, and I really like mythology, and kind of that's my anchor into it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion.
You're still a young guy. There's still plenty of opportunity to discover some of these more kooky and surrealistic films, and in the future you may find yourself saying, you know what, I really like that Jodorowsky film. I'm a real big fan of Xian and the Luno. Who knows? Let the audience decide. Let us know your favorite surreal films, or tell me I'm completely wrong and realism is the only way to go. Either way, we'll be interested to hear from you.
Time again for the movie quiz as usual. I've got some questions for Greg to test out his cinema knowledge. We've got plots, stills, and questions. If you're listening on one of our audio platforms like Spotify or Anchor, and you want to see the stills, be sure to jump over to YouTube so you can check them out. And Greg, are you ready for some questions?
I'm ready. I'm a ready Teddy-O.
Let's get things started then. Okay, number one is an image. So what do you think this is?
That's Straw Dogs, Dustin Hoffman, Sam Peckinpah film.
Absolutely. Straw Dogs, 1971.
Hell of a film.
Hell of a film.
Actually, our good friend Liam Jackson did a very, very good article about that on his blog. Really good retro review of it, so I would advise checking that out. We'll put a link below to Liam's article because it was one of the best film reviews I've ever read.
Excellent stuff. Okay, then question number two.
Mm-hmm.
It's a plot. Okay, in the future, mankind lives in vast underground cities, and free will is outlawed by means of mandatory medication that controls human emotion.
Wow, is that Soylent Green?
No.
Oh, let me have another stab. It's not Logan's Run.
Unfortunately not.
What is it? I don't know.
It's THX 1138.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh god, yeah. Talk about surrealism, abstraction. That's a very, very good example. Yeah.
Okay, question number 3. In 1974, which Wes Craven film was refused certification in the UK and effectively banned due to scenes of sadism and violence?
Sadism, violence. Bloody hell, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Tell me.
It's Last House on the Left.
Oh, I don't know about that one. That's a new one on me.
It's it's an interesting kind of topic. We will get into it at some other point, I reckon.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's a really interesting
I'll
kind
look
of
into
history
that
of that film.
I don't know about that.
Question number 4 then. What film was the last sequel to win a Best Picture award?
The last time? Like recently?
It's not recent. That's all I'll say.
Oh, right, okay.
But it was the last one that was a sequel.
And it won Best Picture. Whew, geez, man, that's difficult. That is very difficult. Was it Godfather 2?
No.
I don't know then.
It was Silence of the Lambs.
Is that a sequel?
Yeah, it's a sequel to Manhunter, 1986, of course, Thomas Harris. Okay, question number 5 is another picture. So what do you think this is?
I don't know what that is.
So that is Macbeth, 1948. Orson Welles.
Good stuff. You got me there, kid.
Okay, question number 6 is another plot. How does an Irish lad without prospects become part of 18th century English nobility? The answer is any way he can.
I don't have a clue. Don't know. Pass.
That's Barry Lyndon.
I haven't seen it.
1975.
Can you believe it?
Great film.
It's the one Kubrick I haven't seen yet.
Okay, question number 7. Who starred as Cleopatra and married her co-star Richard Burton?
Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, of course. Question number 8. Where was it all quiet in the classic film made in 1930?
On the Western Front.
On the Western Front.
These questions are ranging from excruciatingly difficult to easy.
Okay, question number 9. It's a plot. When the Don's youngest son reluctantly joins the family business, he becomes involved in the inevitable cycle of violence and betrayal.
What, are you kidding me? What are you, nuts? It's The Godfather.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah.
1972.
Great.
Absolute classic. And number 10 is the final picture.
Oh my God, what have you given me here? Is that King of Comedy?
It is King of Comedy. Martin Scorsese.
That was
1982.
difficult still, though, yeah. I love that film. Really.
Brilliant. Wow. I see how you did there.
Not too good this week.
5 out of 10.
Anakin, I'm so weak. I'm so weak.
50%. Not too bad.
No, it's all right. It's not bad. It's not bad. Some of them were really difficult, yeah. And like I say, I just haven't seen a couple of them. So let us know how you did at home. Let us know in the comments. Did you get them all right? Okay, as promised, we'd come back to Sidney Lumet. So this week's top 5 are our top 5 Sidney Lumet films. A director both Dave and I absolutely adore, and I'm sure lots of you do too, because he's made such a wonderful range of films, over 50 films in his career. As mentioned earlier, he transitioned from off-Broadway plays to television, where he also went on to successfully adapt stuff into motion pictures, and probably considered to be one of the greatest American directors of all time. Anything to add before we go into it, my esteemed colleague?
Just that, you know, how you pronounce his name is the big debate.
It is, isn't it? I think in Britain, because if there's a T at the end, we tend to do the French thing and say Lumet, or, you know, like Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, we say Gal Gadot, but it's not. It's Gadot and it's Lumet. Yeah. So hopefully we're saying it right.
I always think Lumet sounds nicer, though. You know, it's that continental feel.
It's softer, isn't it? It's got that more sort of francophile pronunciation. But anyway, Sidney Lumet. Mr. Sidney Lumet, stand forward. Right. Let's have a look at what we had as our top 5 films, starting with, for me, they're in no particular order because I couldn't put them in any ranking, so to speak. But let's see what we had at number 5. Take it away. Oh, we got a match.
Ooh,
straight
it's
away,
a match
we got
already.
a match. A snap, as they say. Oh, snap. Yeah, The Hill. What a film. Sean Connery.
Absolute classic, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. First time I ever seen this, I wasn't prepared for what I was about to see. I was a lot younger, and it was on, BBC Two or something one night, and they played it, and I thought, oh my God, this is really, it's a great prison film in a way, you know.
Yeah.
But classic Sidney Lumet that, you know, deals with all these issues of authority, and it's really hard bitten as well. Sean's brilliant in it. I think he made 5 films with Sidney Lumet. Yeah,
something like that. In the end, he did quite a few. He obviously went on to do things like Murder on Orient Express and stuff like that. But it's nice because it's a World War II film that's obviously the North Africa campaign as well. And that doesn't get covered as much, I don't think. And I find it one of the most fascinating. So I like that element.
The Desert Rats.
That's it.
Okay, so let's have a look at what we had. Number 4, take them away. Ooh, I had The Pawnbroker with Rod Steiger, a very powerful film. Again, one of those I watched that did not know what to expect. It tells the tale of a pawnbroker in, I think, New York City that has obviously suffered at the hands of the Nazis in the Holocaust. Although he's managed to escape, he's still haunted by the memories of what happened and his own actions within it. But yeah, that's one to see. That's the top 10 film there.
It's actually the one I haven't seen there.
You're going to love it. It's really powerful. You're going to love it. I know you will. And you've got Serpico. Fantastic.
Of course, as mentioned earlier, really
Frank
great
Serpico.
film.
Yeah, really good. We covered that one
Excellent
earlier.
Stuff.
Okay, number 3. Take them away. Let's have a look. Eesh. So I've got Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, which was the last Sidney Lumet film. Got Philip Seymour Hoffman, the greatly missed Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Ethan Hawke. Really bloody good film, this one.
Really good.
In terms of the actors and as the director, it's a great swan song to go out on, I thought. It's powerful, poignant. Also got some quite funny stuff in there as well. Can make you laugh out loud in some places, but a really, keeps you on the edge of your seat. Really good bloody drama.
That's it. A great performance, as you say. Philip Seymour Hoffman, what an actor he was. Just
probably I'd say the most sorely missed modern actor, because he went so young. He could still be doing great performances now. He was getting better and better as well as he was going on, and it's a great shame. But again, a great performance there in that film.
Absolutely. And I, of course, gone with Network, which is
another amazing
film. Yeah. So crazier film, I think. That it touches on something that is so much more relevant today than it was back then. I think this idea of the corporations and television networks and stuff like that kind of create and then destroy people.
And pushing that propaganda as well that we were talking about earlier. That this is what this film peels back to reveal. And I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm not going to take it anymore. What a scene that is.
Yeah, it's unforgettable.
It kind of peels back the curtain of as well. It's us. It's ours. Thing. We're causing this. Because we allowed them to.
And that's absolutely right. That's where the responsibility lands at the end of the day. The buck stops with us, people. Bloody good film, though, Dave. Yeah, good choice there, sir.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Okay, let's have a look at number 2. I got The Fugitive Kind, which is
excellent film.
Got my favourite actor, Marlon Brando, in it. Joanne Woodward. Again, powerful film. A drifter comes into town, ends up lodging with a couple. Her husband's dying of cancer in the background, and he carries on with her behind his back. Powerful stuff there.
Heavy.
It is
very heavy stuff, and
beautifully shot. Brando is left to just be excellent as ever. He's in peak form in this one, and I think it's an astonishing film.
Do you think when Brando turned up on set for films like this, it just went, just be you, just be Brando?
I think it depends who he was working with, but with someone like Sidney, Sidney Lumet has got the reputation of being an actor's director, so that to me says that he was quite hands-on with working with his actors and developing with them whatever it was that he wanted. But with someone like Brando, are you really going to tell him how to act?
Yeah. Probably comes from that theatre background, as you say. Knowing how to work with actors more and kind of being in the trenches with them.
I think anybody who worked with him would have, said how much they love to work with him. Anyway, you're number 2.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, I went for Dog Day Afternoon, which, again, we mentioned earlier in the Movies of the Week. Excellent film. Really
worth saying again how great that film is. And, definitely advise seeing it if you haven't.
Absolutely. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, let's have a look what we had on number 1 choice. Oh!
It's a match.
Of course it is. We knew it was going to be.
We knew it would be, yeah.
12 Angry Men. A favourite film for both of us. We have covered it in our previous podcast, which you can see here on YouTube or you can listen to via any of the podcast providers that we're rolled out on. I mean, you know, what can we say about it? We haven't already said in our podcast, probably not much. So do go and have a listen to that if you're a fan of 12 Angry Men. But yeah, one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion. Yeah,
it's my favourite film of all time. I think it's a masterpiece. It really is. It's up there with Citizen Kane and all those kind of films for me.
You know, for the first time the other week, just as a little interesting aside, I actually seen clips of a version of 12 Angry Men that was more modern, and it had Jack Lemmon in it.
1997?
Yeah, 97, somewhere around there. And I think it was possibly a TV movie or something like that again.
I think it was, yeah.
They sort of brought it back to its original format of like a TV play, but that was quite interesting to see. That, you know, because we're so used to seeing Henry Fonda and Lee J. Cobb and all these guys, and, you know, I'd still watch it. I didn't see the whole thing. I just seen clips of it. I'd still watch that version just because the material's so good, but nothing's ever going to top
no, it's interesting. It's an interesting piece because, of course, the script is all the same and the ideas and stuff. It's just, for me, it's not. It's one of them. It's especially because it's a TV movie. I guess the actors aren't as good. It's not shot as well.
I think the actors are well. I don't know. Jack Lemmon's amazing actor, and everything. I think he is in his own way. He's as good as any one of those others. But if they were just trying to modernize it and just give it a sort of you know, modern veneer, so to speak, then, you know, it's never going to be a touch on the original.
No, there's certain things that you just don't try. You know, you know, it's
don't
like,
go there.
Don't go there. Like it is like trying to remake Citizen Kane.
Don't go like there, John Voight.
Don't go there. Yeah. Or try and remake Vertigo or something. It's like, why bother? You know.
God, yeah. Imagine that. Imagine someone tried to do it. No one would go and see that.
It'd be sacrilege.
It's like they said they were going to try and remake Back to the Future, and everyone was like, "No, don't you dare!
Don't touch it! No,
yeah, don't touch it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it."
Although they are doing a musical of Back to the Future. I don't know if you've heard.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What's that? Well, the song's going to be in that.
I don't know.
88 miles an hour.
Back in time, baby.
I'm your density.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Next, please.
That's enough surrealism from us. That's our top fives this week. Let us know your top fives in the comments below. You must love Sidney Lumet if you love films. Let us know. Okay, now it's shorts and shout outs, the section of the show where we like to talk about short films and give a shout out to whoever we bloody well please. What have you got for us this week? What short films have you been watching, Dave?
Well, I checked out a short film called Skin, which is from 2018. Mm-hmm. It's actually the film that won the Academy Award for Best Live Action Short Film in the 2019 Oscars, I believe. Cool. I didn't actually see this when it came out, obviously, so I thought I'd check it out. It's a bit of a longer short film. It's about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. But wow, is this a powerful film. It basically tells the story. It kind of starts off with like this neo-Nazi gang, and they've got their young kid who's white, and they're all kind of showing off being kids and stuff. And then they go to the supermarket. And whilst they're in there, the young boy spots another young lad who happens to be a black lad. Mm-hmm. And he smiles or, waves at this black lad, quite sweet moment. But this is spotted by the neo-Nazi, his dad and stuff. And, you mustn't do that. And it all kind of kicks off kind of thing. And then it follows this whole thing of this you shouldn't be hanging around with this black lad, and he doesn't get it. And it starts completely breaking down, and the tensions locally, because it's like a small town or village in America, the tensions start to rise then between it all. And I won't spoil the rest of it because it's really worth watching. I really do recommend everyone just go and watch this, but it gets very brutal and it gets very disturbing. And I think if you think of what the tensions that we have happened in America over the last couple of years, it's a very poignant towards that. It's a brilliantly shot film with really brilliant performances, especially from the two young boys playing the parts. They really, really impressed me. And yeah, it's very much worth a watch.
Cool. That sounds really interesting, mate. Yeah, definitely. Really I'll be watching that one. Yeah, brilliant. Well, funnily enough, what I've got this week is an animated short film. After last week admitting that I wasn't the greatest fan of animation, a friend of mine, James Archer, who is a #1 Keith Chegwin fan.
Hello, Cheggers here again, and welcome to another Cheggers Plays Pop.
He showed me a film called The Man Who Planted Trees, and this is a 1987 animation film. It's by a French author. It's an adaptation of a short story that basically tells the story of this guy who is in a region in Provence in France at the turn of the 20th century, and there's this like barren valley that he lives in, and he basically goes about and plants trees, because that's what the title of the thing is, The Man Who Planted Trees. And it's one of these kind of things you can imagine that it's the animation is excellent. It's quite abstracted itself in a way. In the way that it's put together. It's kind of dreamlike in its qualities and quite minimalist in some ways as well. But it really serves the story quite well. And yeah, it tells the story of this guy who goes about planting trees, and he basically brings life to this area, to this barren valley. But over a long period of time, I mean, the First World War goes past, and then the other years, and it's all told from the perspective of the narrator, who supposedly, met and knew the guy. But I just thought it was a really great film. It was one of those that I was going to say that if you'd seen it when you were a youngster, it would have made such a massive impression on you. And that's what James actually said to me. He's seen it when he was a young guy, and come home from school one day and it just happened to be on. And you just ended, you watch it for the first 5 minutes, and then you're transfixed for the next 25 minutes. It is 30 minutes long, but it's one of those that people might remember themselves. They might have seen as a youngster. If not, watch it as an adult, or, if you're still a youngster yourself, go and watch it. We'll put a link to it below. It's up on YouTube. But I thought it was a really beautiful film that had a lot of good messages in terms of ecology and the environment, and also in a sense it's like it juxtaposed this guy's experience of just not being anywhere near the war. He was unaffected by the First World War, it says at one point, because he just he was probably too old to fight in the First World War anyway, and he just continued creating life instead of taking life and being part of the destruction. He was in his own little part of the world, planting trees, and all of the great ecological effects that came from that. And I advise it. It's a great film, and happy to be put in my place in terms of saying that I didn't like animation so much, because I think I secretly really do.
Sounds really interesting. Especially kind of older animation. There's some of a charm to it.
Yeah, there is definitely a charm with this one, and it is very much of the era. In some ways, the animation reminded me of something like The Snowman. That kind of thing. Not quite as detailed as that, but it didn't need to be. But it was that kind of had that kind of atmosphere to it. So check that out. It's really good. And that leaves us just one last time to give a shout out to our good friends at Film Twitter. So we'd like to say a big shout out to the main man, Skip Bolden, who is the bright sun of which we all revolve around on Film Twitter there. Thanks for all the wonderful posts, Skip. And Tico Romeo as well, equally puts out some great stuff. If you love film, definitely follow these guys. Liam Jackson as well, who's one of the best writers out there in terms of his film reviews. You should check him out and follow his blog and read his reviews. He also does a podcast himself called the Cinementalist Podcast, which you should listen to also, because those guys talk about some great stuff. And you've got Effin' Nerds. That's another great podcast that we like to listen to. Those guys are what it says on the tin. They're a pair of effing nerds that talk about all the crazy stuff that we all love. They've got some great stuff about The Mandalorian at the moment that you might want to check out. And yeah, also all our usual friends, we'd like to say all the best to everybody who supported us along this journey of the last 10 episodes and have shared our content and have liked our stuff and retweeted and shared great stuff yourself. So thanks to everybody over there at Film Twitter. Just thanks a lot, guys. It's really cool. And now a word from our sponsor. Used Robot Salesman. Is your robot past its shutdown shelf life? Maybe you need a little extra help around the home. Whether you're looking for a refurbished Raston Warrior or a modified Max Powertron 5000, Used Robot Salesman has got you covered. There's a huge range to choose from. Every price comes with a 3-year service warranty. Place your order before Christmas and receive a free toaster. Visit our Used Robot showroom today. Used Robot Salesman of Los Angeles, California. Shipping internationally. Call 555-5555 today. Used Robot Salesman. Okay, Dave, it's medication time. It's medication time. Are you ready? This week, Red Pill, Blue Pill's theme is 70s cinema. So if you're ready, we will get cracked straight into it. And the first one we've got, is The Wicker Man or The Parallax View?
The Wicker Man.
The Conversation or 3 Days of the Condor?
The Conversation.
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot or The Scarecrow?
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
John Cassavetes or Robert Altman?
John Cassavetes.
Meryl Streep or Faye Dunaway?
Meryl Streep.
The French Connection or The Deer Hunter?
The French Connection.
William Friedkin or Brian De Palma?
Brian De Palma.
Jack Nicholson or Burt Reynolds?
It's got to be Nicholson. It's got to be.
It's got to be. Martin Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola?
No, that is tricky.
Bite the bullet and choose a pill.
I'll go with Scorsese.
Okay. Diane Keaton or Sybil Shepherd?
Sybil Shepherd.
George Lucas or Steven Spielberg?
George Lucas.
Interesting. Elliot Gould or Bruce Dern?
Bruce Dern.
Hal Ashby or Hal Needham?
Hal Ashby.
Pam Grier or Sally Field?
Sally Field.
Taxi Driver or 5 Easy Pieces?
Taxi Driver.
Jewel or Convoy?
Convoy!
Diamonds are forever or Live and Let Die?
Live and Let Die.
Logan's Run or The Omega Man?
Logan's Run.
Close Encounters or Capricorn 1?
I'm going to go Capricorn 1.
Crazy. Deliverance or The Warriors?
The Warriors.
Alien or Star Wars? I wonder which one you'll pick.
Star Wars.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show or Grease?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Stalker or Chinatown?
Chinatown.
Get Carter or Marathon Man?
Marathon Man.
The Godfather or The Godfather 2?
Godfather 2.
And to finish us off this week, De Niro or Pacino?
Pacino.
Oh, it's a Pacino. It's a Pacino kind of day. That's it, buddy. I hope you feel medicated because that's all we've got for you this season on Red Pill, Blue Pill.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah. Again, let us know your answers in the comments if you can be bothered. There's quite a lot of stuff there to type out. But if you think Dave was very, very wrong about some of them choices, then let us know. So there we go, Dave. That's the end of episode 10. That's the end of series 1 of the movie show, and that's it. 10 episodes. We're at the end, buddy. We're at the end of the journey.
It's all over.
Or
really
is it?
Sad.
Because we'll be doing a Christmas Day special, And also, you can join us on New Year's Day for a 2020 retrospective movie show special. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds good to me.
All right, we'll do that then. But yeah, this has been a learning curve for us, a great experience to do this YouTube show.
It has, yeah.
And we've had some fun along the way. Favorite moments? I mean, I really enjoyed you getting murdered by Michael Myers in the Halloween special. And join us on Twitter at More Movies For. Dave.
Yeah?
Dave, behind you. Watch out behind you, Dave.
Come on.
No. Dave.
Don't be silly.
Look out, man. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ,
That was tremendous
Dave.
fun.
Yeah.
Big thanks to Tom for playing the role of Mike Myers in that episode for us.
Thanks, Tom. And also big thanks to Tom for doing our presidential graphics for us on the election special.
Absolutely. I mean, I really enjoyed that election special. I thought that was really great. I enjoyed doing the specials most, which I guess it's because it's quite fun. It was really fun doing a good old Donald Trump.
Yeah, you love a bit of Trump, don't you? You're gonna be sorry to see him go at the start of January.
I don't think I will.
No, I don't think so either.
There's lots of fake movie news, but right here on the movie show, we got red pill, blue pill.
I'm not a crook. But yeah, we've had a good bit of dancing as well.
Oh yeah.
Keep us fit. Yeah, I mean, we've learned about some fantastic movies as well.
That's it. I mean, there's some great films we've covered, some great topics we've fought over, some great questions asked and answered. And
a lot of pills. You've taken a lot of pills. You've got a right reputation as a bit of a pillhead now. They calling you Disco Biscuit Dave down at the club.
Welcome to the Halloween edition of the movie show. It's all killer, no filler.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off or The Breakfast Club?
The Breakfast Club. You can see the disappointment in your face, Gray. That film about the room that his brother directed and was in.
Didn't see it.
And he's been on some TV shows and stuff like that. So, you know.
Haven't watched it.
But,
okay, so cheap costumes, low budget, and you mentioned Doctor Who. Get the hell out of here. Doesn't stand up. I mean, you got to get rid of him. Democracy's got to make a comeback. Come on, America. You're the apart from us, the British, who of course invented democracy.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, face, head, asshole.
It's a boy. A little young for you, isn't she, Richie?
Hey, Georgie.
You want this, don't you? I can feel your dark side.
Why so serious? Let's put a smile on that face.
It was a terrible film. It was produced by...
well, it was wrestling, of course it was terrible.
What?
They put stuff on over the years like Rod Serling's Night Gallery, which is a tie-in to The Twilight Zone, which Dave loves.
What is the name of the wrestler played by Randy Savage in Spider-Man?
Bonesaw is ready. Hey, freak show, when you come down here, I'll teach you a lesson.
Okay, I know this one. This is an actor who he likes to point a lot when he's angry. His name's Harrison Ford.
It is Harrison Ford, of course.
Get off my plane.
The classic line.
Get off my plane.
Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ears. You know, when we discussed what we were going to be watching for the show this week, I felt that I might have drew the short straw with Birds of Prey, but it sounds like you did.
Oh, Jesus!
Sounds like I got the good movie, and you watched the turkey. It's just a jump to the left.
Put your hands on your hips.
Yeah, that's it.
Plenty of high-pitched vocals and.
Can you tell by the way I move my walk?
That's it. I'm a woman's man, no damn at all. But Captain America or Captain Chaos?
Well, I don't know who Captain Chaos is, so I'll go with Captain America.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
You don't know who Captain Chaos is?
Dun, dun, dun! I am Captain Chaos.
For his movie career as an actor, and we've lost another legend.
That's it, an icon gone, but we'll raise a martini for you tonight, sir.
It'll be a vodka
Shaken,
martini, shaken,
not stirred. I really enjoyed doing the noir special as well. I think that was tremendous fun.
Yeah, that was a good one to do. I liked being in black and white for once, getting a chance to get the suit on, and yeah.
But there we go, 9 out of 10. Pretty good.
And as always, there's been a hell of a lot of swearing.
There has.
It's always good to test the sensor and make sure it's working properly, because it's a piece of otherwise.
It's a good job we've got a fucking sensor on the right side of us.
Arseholes.
Dog.
Well, there we go then. That's one season of the movie show. We'd like to return in 2021 with another season at some point. We'll be doing some more podcasts in between, so please check out our YouTube channel. You can have a listen to all of our favourite films podcasts, of which there are 11 to date. We'll be doing some more. You've also got Don Corleone's playlist that's got all of Don Corleone's film reviews on, and of course you can binge watch all 10 episodes of the movie show right here on YouTube. In between, join us on moremovies.co.uk for all our articles and film reviews that we put up on the website there. And come and join us on Twitter at moremovies4, and come and talk about film on Twitter with us, because we enjoy that. And there's plenty of excellent people we're surrounded by that are celebrating the wonderful art of cinema too.
Absolutely. And yeah, just remember, we're here on YouTube. Subscribe to us, check out all the videos, press the bell icon for notifications for when something does come out in the future. Of course, we will be doing a Christmas special, and we will be doing a special 2020 New Year's edition. So do subscribe and keep an eye out for them. They'll be dropping later this month. And
well, I think we're going to be putting out Christmas special on Christmas Day, and the New Year's retro review will be on New Year's Day. So, after you've had all your mince pies and a couple of beers, and you're sitting there with nothing decent to watch because they've put Man with the Golden Gun on television again, then why not switch over to YouTube and watch us with our specials?
Absolutely.
Well, that just leaves us to say one last time, that's a wrap.